Hello, this is Kelly Fasterling with eXp Realty, and I am honored today to have Katrina Hegeman with me. Welcome, Katrina. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
Now, Katrina has an amazing background. She's got a master's in education, spent 10 years out in Georgia in the high school, middle school system, made the move to Colorado, started not only in a new state, but in a new career, started in real estate. She's been in real estate now for 3 years, and not only has she created a really successful real estate business, she's also created a very successful Airbnb business. So we're going to dive into it. Let's start, Katrina. Let's start with that first year in real estate. You've moved to Colorado. You're brand new here, new to the city, new to the state, new to real estate. How did you get started?
Well, I first studied for the exam, and I think I probably overstudied because I'm just that kind of person. And then when I took it, I was like, man, I probably didn't need to study quite this much for it. But then I started interviewing with all different people here in town. I really wanted to land at a really good company. So interviewed a lot, asked a lot of questions, and I was pretty set on a brokerage that was not eXp. But then a friend of mine from volleyball was like, hey, I just really want you to come check eXp out. And I said, well, I have nothing to lose. I'm still kind of in this interview process. And I went to one of the lunch and learns, and I was like, oh, wow. Like, I'm a math person, and the numbers, I was like, wow, there's opportunity to grow here, which I thought was super, super exciting. But I was like, maybe it's too good to be true. Like, it's a newer company. Maybe I just, So I went home and researched a ton about eXp, went to another lunch and learn. And then I thought, I have nothing to lose. Like, if it happens to be a bad fit, then I can go to one of these other companies. But eXp was my first company, and I absolutely love it 3 years later.
Oh, awesome. Now, as you kind of hit the ground running as a new realtor, you go to school, you pass, and you get your license. You really do not know how to be a realtor.
Oh, yeah.
How did you?
Bless the first 3 people that let me help them sell a home. Now I'm in a very good spot and I've done a lot of deals, but yeah, the learning curve is really steep for sure.
Exactly. So how did you jump into that? How did you create that initial success? Because you did how many deals your first year? 11, 12 deals?
I think it was 11. Yeah.
And you did
sell one for the first 5 months. So first 5 months was absolute crickets. And then month 6, I had 6 deals.
Okay. So talk about how you generated that business. How would somebody coming into real estate in their first year get launched?
I think so. I've built mine more on real estate by referral. So just trying to develop really good relationships with the sphere that I had. And I had a pretty small sphere because I had just moved here. So, I'm involved in sports, so volleyball and pickleball, my church community. And then my sister lived here. So she helped me, I think, to kind of spread the word. But I think when I first started, one of the key things that I did was really try to find some good mentors. Anybody that you have to be careful who you ask to be a mentor to, because you can get a lot of bad advice. I would say most of my mentors were excellent. The people that are in it for the right reason are amazing. So I would just take people to coffee and just be like, hey, I'm new. Would you like to pour into my life, in the next year? And it's amazing. I think the eXp model kind of caters to it because some of the top producing agents here in town don't necessarily need to sell a lot of real estate anymore because of the rev share model. And so they have time to pour into you and are super, super willing. There's so I probably have 6 people that I could pick up the phone right now and all of them would be super willing to help. So so it's a great community. I think the model caters to that because as you grow your downline, you don't have to sell as much real estate. You can, but you don't have to, right? You just have that freedom. It kind of opens up your schedule quite a bit.
Right. Exactly. So then you generated most of your business through your sphere. You were new to Colorado, but you were engaged in a number of different communities.
Yeah.
But then you also stepped in and you started creating a network of a mastermind. Talk a little bit about what you did there.
Yeah. So my friend Lisa and Kenner and I, I think we saw the need. There's a lot of young agents out there that just need that collaboration in that community. And so we would meet just at different coffee shops, a lot of times at Kinship Landing here in town, which is a boutique hotel. And, anything we felt like would be beneficial to our peers, we try to get someone in, or we would just discuss as a group. And it was just a really sweet group to like meet new agents here in town and learn and just collaborate with each other. So that was fun.
Right. And when I found that throughout the EXP community, all you have to do is kind of listen and plug in a little bit. And there is something going on to plug into. It's really amazing.
Yeah. And I like how, I think it's Treasure Davis who says this, is there's enough business here in town for everyone. So I think a lot of agents have this mindset of like, oh, I can't share my secrets or like be helpful to other people because I may lose business. But I think there's plenty of business here in town for everybody. So if you're willing to work hard, you'll find it. So don't view your peers as competition, but view them as like teammates.
Exactly. There's so much to learn from each of them.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, you started out in education.
Mm-hmm.
You then moved to Colorado and changed careers. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about that transition. Why real estate? Why Colorado?
Okay. So I've always kind of had like a business mindset. My undergrad was in business administration and e-commerce. My master's was in education, but I always wanted to get into real estate, but I was always scared to. And I think like long-term goal is to be an investor primarily, which I've started finally.
Short term now, you're there.
Yeah, big time in the last 2 years, but I think it's really like scary to make that first investment move. So I had, as a teacher, I have the summers off. So I'd come and live in Colorado Springs with my sister for a month every summer.
Yeah.
And the first summer I didn't love it. And then every year I just love this place more and more. I was like, I have to move here, because community is rich here and it's so active and there's just a really sweet vibe here in Colorado Springs.
There totally is.
Yeah.
Now, moving then from education to real estate, why that shift? Why didn't you just find a teaching job here?
Yeah. I would probably say I was a little bit burnt out from teaching. Whatever I do, I go like all in. And so I was teaching full time. And then I was coaching a very competitive volleyball team. And we'd play like 40 games in 3 months, practice 3 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
And then I was tutoring about 16 or 17 kids on the side. And I loved all of it. But I remember being in the gym one day and thinking, I live at this school and this is not sustainable. Like my friends even would say like, we can't wait till volleyball season's over so we can see you again, kind of thing. And so even though I loved every part of it, it was a beast as a whole. And it was hard because every year I loved my team. It was like, I left probably my school when I had the best team that I had coached in all my years of coaching. So that was tough. But every year I was like, next year. And it was very tough to make that move. It was painful because you say goodbye to like kids you've coached for a long, long time, but that's life too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now you had to have brought though some lessons with you from working with the kids, working with the volleyball team, working with the students. What lessons have you been able to transition into your real estate career?
Real estate takes a lot of hustle, I would say. And if teachers, my hat goes down to them. I've done it. It's hard work. I don't think anybody I think teachers should be like one of the highest paid people here. For 6-7 hours a day, you have 30 kids in front of you. Imagine that every day, day in, day out. So
yes.
It's a lot of hustle and hard work. So I think real estate is that too. I think a lot of people have this vision of real estate as like, oh, you get to sleep in and, you know, you don't have to do much. You just collect these big paychecks, but it takes a lot of grit and building relationships with people, knowing the industry really well. I'm constantly learning things. Like one of my current clients right now is flipping a house and they're completely raising it off its foundation.
Oh, wow.
I was like, yes, I think for him, he's like, oh, money, 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 money. And but for me, it's just fascinating to see the whole process. And, now if somebody else wants to buy a house that needs that, I'll be able to step them through the process of that. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, you have mentioned you selected EXP and they were your first brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
What services do you get from EXP? What value do you get from EXP as a brokerage?
Yeah, it's incredible. I would say, because I think one of my fears, so one of the fears going in was like, will there be collaboration? And I think we've already hit on that. Collaboration's incredible. I even get to go to Cabo soon with all my
good for you.
people. Yeah, I'm excited. 2 months. And then, so collaboration's huge. I think they also have really good training. So they have in the EXP world, and I love that it's training done by very successful agents. It's not like, oh, let me just sign up and teach a class. It's like, no, you have to have proven that you can produce at this volume to be able to teach this class. And so it's incredible. So the amount of training that's available, I could sit here all day, every day and do training. And during COVID, that was super helpful. I probably took most advantage of it then because, like the first month of COVID, we were all home, and I could have been like paying a desk fee at another brokerage. Instead, I was here in my house, learning real estate. So,
right.
And it's all free. All the training in EXP world is free. So I would say that's huge. And everything's very streamlined from, just how we upload files, like all the things, like there's no huge costs involved in any of it, which I really love too. So during COVID, that was helpful. It's like, if I don't make a sale, I'm only paying $85 a month. If I make a sale, then, there's the additional fees, but it's very sustainable, especially as a new agent.
Exactly. Perfect. And then there's EXP is really touted as a technology company. There are a lot of technological solutions available. Which ones do you take advantage of?
That's a good question. I did a lot with their marketing. It was just easy. So like, I know there's probably cheaper places, but I liked how professional it looked. So I did a lot with their postcards and just any of the marketing that I needed for anything that I did. They had templates available for that were very streamlined, easy to use.
Okay.
I would say like obviously the training is probably the most, the EXP world. Yeah, those are probably my big two. Which ones do you like the most? It's a great question.
I found SkySlope really easy.
Oh yeah, SkySlope.
So as a newer agent, the ability to upload, the ability to see any new disclosures we had to have. In my previous brokerage, I was 3 years somewhere else. You really didn't know and have that continuity that said, okay, the rules have changed. You now have to do these things as well, especially during COVID. So I love that there was a checklist and you knew right away exactly what you had to do on each side of the equation.
Yeah.
I love that piece. But
and I like that they check it. Like we have somebody auditing our files every single transaction. I love that. I think, I have a TC, so she's obviously seen everything that's going through. And then to think that like EXP is auditing too, it's great to know.
Well, even to the point looking at my MLS listing and saying, Kelly, you can't say that.
Yeah.
I'll have to change that. Thank you.
Yeah.
They've got your back. I love that part.
I agree.
Love that part. Tell me about your avatar experience and your moving around in the world. What has your experience been there?
I haven't played around with it a lot. I would say I haven't had like a ton of extra time with that as far as like having fun, because I know you can make them dance and do. So I wouldn't say like I'm an avatar queen. I mean, I have an avatar and I go to the places, the meeting rooms and stuff that I go to. I like their technology support. So like if I have any issues, you just go to the tech support, you pull a ticket and you're helped within like a minute. It's
Exactly.
incredible. And same thing with taxes. What was it? I needed a tax form and they had sent it, but I couldn't find it. I went to the accounting department, pulled a ticket. Super nice person helping me within a minute. Like I love the efficiency of the world.
Me too. I had one guy spend an hour with me on my laptop, logged into my laptop, helping me with the sound, trying to get my sound to work so that people
Yeah.
could hear me inside the world. I mean, I mentioned that to my broker who also came across to EXP. She said, I never could have provided that service.
Yeah.
Just couldn't. And then one day two stories. I came in on a Saturday morning and there was a man from India that was in there. And so we just sat and chatted for 5 minutes about what real estate's like in India. Yeah, what an experience. And then I went out to check the boat. Have you ever been in the boat yet?
No, I haven't been in the boat.
So I sat in the boat, kind of going, what do you do here? Somebody jumped in the boat and took us for a ride. It was like,
what?
Yes, it's fun.
It's very cool. I would say when I first started, I was like, is this a video game? Like, what did I just sign up for? But
exactly.
I like efficient things, and it's very efficient.
Yeah.
So, I'm super thankful for it.
I agree. Well, and then you also had a passion for moving into real estate investing.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, you've done that in a really, really big way. Talk to me about how you got started and where you are now.
Okay, so my main client is an investor, and I met him just by walking my dog or my sister's dog. And I said, hey, can I take you to coffee? And then I realized when I was at coffee with him that like, man, this guy is a wealth of knowledge. And I asked him if he would be my mentor. And he said, absolutely. And he took his job very, very, very seriously, which I'm super thankful. He's like my Colorado dad now. He's just has really invested in my life. And, he walked me through some questions like, what's your why? And then every year he really wants me to think of like my goals for the year. And so I said, my biggest goal is I want to start creating passive income, but I'm scared and I don't know if I have the money, all the questions and all the fears and
all the stuff.
Yeah. And he said, within a year, I'll help you get into your first property. And like when he says something, he means it. That's one thing I've learned over the years with him.
Yes.
I was like, okay. And we ended up, so he works with another partner on all his deals. And he was like, well, the partner's probably not going to let you in on, we have a pretty tight knit partnership. And I was like, I understand. I don't expect anything. Well, they flip homes and they also keep homes as Airbnbs. And I found a really, really good deal through cold calling and enough where I think a third partner would make sense. And so he says, okay, this is the deal. We're going to let you in on this one because you found such a great property. And so that was my first one. And it is now an Airbnb and it's kind of smooth sailing. And then within a few months of that, there was this cottage up in Cascade that my client, he was actually looking at buying. He put an offer, they didn't accept. It was a for sale by owner guy. And then I was like, well, I would be happy to help you list this because you could get probably $70,000 to $80,000 more. And he's like, oh, I'm not paying a realtor. And my client did not want to go up in price. And I said, well, do you mind if I do then? It's like, absolutely. So I ended up buying a second property pretty quickly after, just because it was such a great, great deal. And I felt like, I'd educated the seller. He chose not to, he was pretty set on this is the price he was going to sell it for. So I got it for a steal of a deal and flipped that and made that into an Airbnb. So that was my second investment property. And then recently I bought a fourplex with a friend and it was my neighbor. And every time I saw him, I said, let me know when you're ready to sell me the fourplex. And he's like, oh, no. And the next time I saw him, let me know when you're, and then one day out of the blue, he called me and he says, I'm ready. And I was like, I think he almost passed away. He got pneumonia. He has no heirs. And so, yeah, it's amazing how it all happened very, very, very quickly. But it's exciting. It's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of work on the front end. Once you get going, once they're set up, it definitely is a lot simpler.
Well, and you did a training for us in our Freedom Team Tuesday trainings where you talked about that process and everything you have to look out for. It was an excellent training. If anyone's interested, ask Katrina or ask me for that video, because that one was amazing. Just amazing. So, what I'm hearing from you, Katrina, is as a new realtor, there are a couple key things that probably helped you with your success and also with your launch into investing. Number one is you're just flat out willing to ask. Ask for the deal, ask for the mentorship, ask for the help. You plugged in. You made sure that you got connected, because in real estate, we're our own boss, and you can stay very separate and get none of that. That isn't what you chose. You chose to engage and to go seek out those people of wisdom, which I don't care where we're at in our process, there's always somebody that knows something that we can learn from. So those are two big things, but then the hustle factor. If you're going to run your own business, you have got to get up and hustle it and go. You mentioned cold calling. So how much did you employ and really get out there to find the leads to get your first deals?
Yeah, so I don't do a ton of cold calling. I do it kind of sporadically based on my clients' needs. So my clients sometimes will identify neighborhoods they want a house in. And so that's, so we had identified an area where we could potentially have an Airbnb. And so then I cold called that neighborhood because we knew there was the opportunity to have an Airbnb in that neighborhood. Or if a client's looking for a fourplex, and I can cold, so there's opportunities to do it based on my client's needs. It kind of falls to the wayside sometimes if I get busy or if there's not a strong need. Like if I have a buyer, and I would love to do it for listings too. But yeah, it's not like nobody loves cold calling, but I think it's such a good avenue that you can take for sure.
Absolutely. There's so many ways to lead generate. We had Melvin on, and he talked about the 32 different ways to lead generate. And you look at the list and think, oh my gosh, if I just did 2 or 3 of these, it would be great.
Like right now I'm cold calling. So I have a pretty unique property in the Patty Jewett neighborhood that potentially a builder would be our client. So I'm cold calling all the builders here in town. And I'm about 100 in. There's 400 and some. So it's, but it's also a good way to just connect with people. So they may not be my client, but, and sometimes when I do open houses, I'll call the neighborhood and just be like, hey, I know you're probably not looking to buy, but I'm having an open house and I know neighbors love to see. And people get impressed with like, wait, you picked up the phone and calling all the neighbors? So there's just all different ways you can do it. Cold calling is pretty affordable. I don't love to spend money if I don't have to. I'm Dutch. So I think I've taken the road of, trying to avoid paying for leads or things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's working for you because your business has grown and you've really done an exceptional job with growing your business and staying focused on creating these 5 Airbnbs that you have in your portfolio. That's really amazing success. I don't know if you recognize it. That's amazing success in a 3-year period.
Kind of happened all so quickly. I haven't processed it all yet, but another thing I would for new agents is really developing good relationships with agents on the other side of each deal. Even if they're not within your company, it's incredible that just the collaboration that can happen that way. I think if you do a good job and they know that you appreciate what they're doing, it's amazing just what can happen with that. Even I'm under contract right now for a place, and the agent on the other side is so wonderful to work with. And I am like, I want to be that agent on every deal, like I know when she calls, like, we're going to work together on this. We're not going to like try to pull strings, to make each other's life more difficult. So, just trying to develop really good rapport with other agents within Springs. Yeah.
It's so important as we have that collaboration and that connection with people. So is there anything else, Katrina, that you would like to share that would help somebody really start out in this business and create the kind of success that you have?
One of the things I tell new agents is funny because a new agent called me the other day just for some advice. He's out in Tennessee. There's like the shiny object syndrome of there's so many different ways you can do real estate. There's this program and this program and this program and this program. And I see agents here in town like, oh, there's a new program, let me subscribe to it. Or there's a new this. And so really before you get started, think about how you want to run your business. So like if you're a very good lead converter, maybe Zillow, maybe paying the big Zillow fee, that's the way you do it. If you love to love on people like I do, then stick to real estate by referral. If you love, don't run after every shiny object. Do one and do it well. Like cold calling, you can make that your business, or open houses or whatever. Like there's a lot of different avenues you can choose to do business, but don't stretch yourself thin by trying to do like 10 different ones. Stick to one and do it well. And then, if opportunity arises, grow to the next. But I think I see a lot of new agents just kind of go wherever the wind blows or whatever's trending. Right. Even like new programs that come out, I always tell my friends, like, I want to see you do it for a year and then I'll consider it, because a lot of people can promise a lot of things, but yeah.
It's that Dutch in you coming out, huh?
Yeah, don't run to the shiny objects. So try to stay focused, like do something and do it really well.
Well, and it points back to the business plan that your mentor really had you put together. What is your focus? What's your target? Mm-hmm. Design intentionally to create the kind of business that you want to create.
Yeah, and do it in a way that like you enjoy. So like if you enjoy people, like, host a lot of things and build good community. If you're into sports, like you can build your group of people. Like I see somebody at the pickleball courts, like she, I think, works out at CrossFit and now she's bringing her CrossFit friends to the pickleball courts. So she's developing relationships with all those people and they'll eventually become her clients. And I think it's great, so everybody is different. Just find something that works. Right. And then maybe even find a mentor that does business the way that you want to learn to do business then.
Very wise advice.
Yeah.
Well, Katrina, thank you so much for taking the time and for pouring into our folks today. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you, Kelly. You're amazing.
You take care. You have a wonderful day.
All right. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.